A Republican-sponsored bill in the Missouri State House would actually create review boards to remove books deemed inappropriate. So now this bill is the Parental Oversight of Public Libraries Act, and it's proposed by Representative Ben Baker. So now on its face, it kind of sounds pretty innocuous, right? Oh, it's a board of concerned parents. They just want to make sure that children don't read bad things, right? However, the Missouri Library Association is very worried about this. They're sounding the alarm because they say that this could jail librarians for having books that are deemed inappropriate, and that, of course, what the definition of inappropriate is pretty vague. So now this would again allow for locally elected parental library review boards to unilaterally remove books that they decide are sexually explicit or otherwise inappropriate for young readers. Now, libraries, according to the bill, that allow children to borrow books that have been banned or whose access has been restricted would risk losing state funding, and librarians could be ordered to pay fines up to $500 or sentenced to jail time for up to a year. And again, as I mentioned before, the board would decide what was actually inappropriate. So you could have books that, for example, have LGBT plus characters in them or themes. Now, Baker was talking to a local radio news station, KOAM, and said that the bill came out of his desire to ensure libraries have a, quote, safe environment and that children are not going to be exposed to something that is objectionable material. So wait, no, this guy is creating a literal safe space in a public library. Weren't you against safe spaces? Don't Republicans hate safe spaces? Oh, not against books, apparently. Now, this supposed safe space for kids is actually going to be against anything that he doesn't like. Now, what could he possibly not like, or what could these parents not like? Well, maybe any books on atheism, anything that involves magic, for example, Harry Potter, or anything written by Karl Marx, maybe Eugene Debs, or books where there's a same-sex kiss or any sort of sexual theme, right? It's pretty broad. And so this is really disastrous. And by the way, this is at a public library, not a children's library, public libraries, where adults are also allowed to go and check out books. You're going to use children to ban books, adult books, and I'm not saying like adult books, but books with more adult themes. They're going to get banned, and you're using the children to do it. That is extreme because nobody can read those books once they're banned. And even an adult who tries to get this, if it's banned, could get in trouble. Really? Really? Okay, anyway. Now, this is, of course, censorship, and it's one step removed from book burning. Now, MLA President Cynthia Dudenhofer, which I love that name, by the way, she was not buying this explanation. She said, quote, public libraries already have procedures in place to assist patrons in protecting their own children while not infringing upon the rights of other patrons or restricting materials. So this is what we call personal responsibility, right? And so you're leaving it up to the individual to protect the children instead of big government. Then why is a Republican trying to use big government to supposedly protect children from inappropriate materials? Well, that's not their job, right? You're supposed to be a Republican? Now, Missouri Library Association, she continues, will always oppose legislation that infringes on these rights. Now, there are other groups that spoke out against the proposal. Freedom of Expression advocacy group PEN America called HB 2044 a shockingly transparent attempt to legalize book banning. Quote, books wrestling with sexual themes, books uplifting LGBTQIA plus characters, books addressing issues such as sexual assault. All of these books are potentially on the chopping block if this bill is passed, said James Tager, the group's deputy director of free expression, research, and policy. Every reader and writer in the country should be horrified, absolutely horrified at this bill. Now, others on social media also weighed in. Now, this is a unnamed Twitter user, because I don't have the name. A new bill being proposed in Missouri, absolutely detestable. Censoring information / what's available to readers is a direct violation to what our country stands for, could jail librarians. Literary Hub says, hard to imagine a more ominous name for a bill than the Parental Oversight of Public Libraries Act. Right. So this is super Orwellian, by the way. Now, I don't believe in censorship. I believe censorship is the wrong way to go. I despise censorship. And look, the reason I don't like censorship is because I think all information should be accessible, and bad ideas should be combated with good ideas. And so I don't think that we should have censorship. I think that we should have a discussion, right? And I think that we should have the good ideas that are presented to combat, like I said before, the bad ones. So if you care about access to information, then you should be aware of this bill, because if it becomes law in Missouri, this could be a model for social conservatives to limit access to information based solely even on their morality. Whatever these parental boards tend to believe is objectionable, they could get rid of. And so that is a serious problem if you care about censorship. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.